Cameco. Tim, thanks a lot for joining us today on the company's fourth quarter and annual results. Shareholders and investors who look at these results will see fairly early on that both net earnings and adjusted net earnings fell quite substantially. Now, the company says that's because of accounting requirements related to its Westinghouse acquisition. That deal closed in late 2023. Are there other financial metrics that look past those accounting charges?
Yeah, Paul, thanks. And thanks for having me. We look at adjusted EBITDA, which we think is a better indicator of our results. And you'll see that was very, very strong for us. We've had Westinghouse in the portfolio for just over a year now, and it just keeps getting better for us. Strong fundamentals for nuclear, for uranium and all the fuel services, and for reactors. So we're really pleased with where we're at.
Remind us what Westinghouse does and how much it's now contributing to the top and bottom lines at Cameco. It provides services to nuclear reactors and providers of nuclear energy around the continent, or indeed perhaps elsewhere in the world, correct?
Yeah, that is correct, Paul, around the world, in fact. So, you know, Cameco, a good Canadian company, we're blessed with great uranium deposits here in Saskatchewan that we mine, and some other countries as well. We have conversion facilities in Ontario to make fuel. And then really where Westinghouse kicks in is they don't do that. They make fuel bundles for nuclear reactors, including some of the Russian reactors now that have switched to Westinghouse fuel over the last couple of years. And then, of course, they have their operating services. So for the existing fleet of over 400 reactors, they do servicing and outages and engineering. And of course, the big ticket now is they're able to build reactors for companies, whether you want a micro reactor, a 5 megawatt, an SMR at 300 megawatts, or now the big AP1000s, which we're building around the world at about 1,200 megawatts. So we really have the full suite of goods to offer now.
One thing that jumped out at me was the performance of the Key Lake mill in Saskatchewan. This is a mill that processes mined uranium. It produced 20.3 million pounds of uranium for the full year of 2024. And that, Cameco says, is a world record for any mill at any time, anywhere in the world. That the strong demand must have been part of the story. The performance of your team on the ground at Key Lake must have been another factor. Talk to us about that part of the story.
Yeah, we're pretty proud of that, Paul. That is a world record for production in one single year from a uranium mill, and you know that's a mill that we shut down actually in 2016 because there was no market for uranium. There were lots of big inventories around, so we had it down for about 5 years and brought it back up. And bringing them back is never easy, but we've got a great team of people up there, and they were able to produce over 20 million pounds. Now, that said, we're still in supply discipline. We will only produce into contracts that exist for us. We don't produce on spec. We don't produce for inventory. We only produce into contracts. And so we're taking production back down to 18 million pounds, which is the normal run rate.
Interesting. What is the company's view of the longer term demand for uranium? As you know, there's all kinds of optimism surrounding it now for reasons that we understand. The imperative of reducing the carbon footprint of economies around the world, and the fact that demand for electricity continues to surge.
Paul, I started in this business as a student in 1979, 17 years old. Today, best fundamentals in the market I've seen in over 40 years, 45 years probably. You know, demand for clean electricity around the world is just growing in North America. Electricity demand, whether it's through AI or just the need for a lot more electricity, you know, we know it's going to double or triple. You see organizations around the world and countries at COP 28, 29, 31 countries pledging to triple nuclear. And so we have to provide the fuel for that. And so we're working hard to make sure that that's there. And, you know, I'd say demand is durable and supply is shaky at the moment. And so we've got some work to do, but the future looks very bright for our industry and for our company.
For many years since you began as that 17-year-old years and years ago, the critics of the nuclear industry have called it fundamentally unsafe. And then there was the disaster, or the accident, I should say, in Japan in 2011. Are are governments and societies generally more comfortable now with the safety profile of nuclear energy?
You know, Paul, it's a perception issue. It's always been safe. A lot of people have got their information on nuclear from movies and other television shows. Really, if you look at the real statistics, it's the safest form of electricity generation ever in the world. And so, yes, there have been a few accidents over the last 50 years. There's accidents in other industries as well, and people continue to learn from them, get better, and continue on with it. And that's what we've done in the nuclear industry. Very safe, and many, many countries now turning to nuclear energy.
So your job and the job of your senior team is to keep the company growing, but as you've said, you're going to be disciplined and not produce uranium that doesn't have a buyer waiting for it. So what is your strategy for growth in the years ahead?
Well, we've got assets. You mentioned one, the McArthur Key Lake project, that at the right time, and if the demand is there and we have contracts in place, we can increase our production from 18 million pounds up to the 25 million pound level. So we've got some dry powder there. We're not going to do it now because the market is not calling for it, but we've got that ready. We've got other facilities on care and maintenance. Rabbit Lake Mine here in Canada. We've got some really important assets now, given all of the tariff talk in the U.S. We've got some mining assets in Wyoming and Nebraska that we could restart as well. And so those are two areas. And then through Westinghouse, building new reactors, it's kind of limitless where we can go there. We're working on projects today in Poland and Ukraine and Bulgaria and other countries. Sweden's looking to build, even in Ontario. You look at Ontario, Bruce Power looking to put 4,800 new megawatts up, and then over Port Hope, right close to our fuel facilities, another 10,000 megawatts. So lots of opportunity for Westinghouse, and we hope to take advantage of that.